Do you ever have those inspirational moments where you're watching something or listening to a podcast or maybe reading a book and completely not paying attention to really what you're watching or reading or something because your brain picked up on one small thing and then it started linking a bunch of other thoughts together, and pretty soon you're either 10 minutes through the video or you are, I don't know, like 3 pages down and you realize you don't remember what you were doing. That happened to me. I was watching this video by World Builder Bob, or Bob World Builder, and it's a very good video. You should definitely go watch it. He kind of breaks down the books that he thinks that you should buy for 5th edition. But as I was watching this and watching him go through all of the books, it made me think of a bigger idea of how can I combine all of these different stories maybe into one kind of mega story. The Forgotten Realms and all of the adventures that they've had, and the adventure that I ran, which was Rod of Seven Parts in the Forgotten Realms, that doesn't necessarily take place in the Forgotten Realms, but I decided to set it there. But the quest is really good because it's a very compartmentalized kind of adventure, because there's a rod and it's broken into 7 parts and you have to go and collect them. And that's the whole adventure, is collecting these magic item for reasons. If you want to watch the whole thing, I'll link a playlist down below to Nerd Immersion's channel where it is hosted. If you want it in podcast form, it's available on my Patreon. Then I started thinking also about my co-host of the Saturday Morning D&D show, Sir Lucian, and he was talking about how he's running, or he is playing in a game where they're using Acquisitions Incorporated rules and framework for their adventuring company as they're going through Dungeon of the Mad Mage. Why don't we take all of those and mash them together and create the ultimate 5th edition Forgotten Realms experience you can possibly play? Hi everybody, Jordan here, PH is silent, and this will be talking about building the ultimate adventure in the Forgotten Realms. But we're going to go through all the books I think you need to play the majority of the Sword Coast. And by the end of this, we'll have a hodgepodge Frankenstein adventure that will hit the major locations and possibly story beats for a lot of these 5th edition Forgotten Realms adventures, but we can just play a 1 to 20 game, and I kind of like that idea. So starting off, we're going to go through quite a few of these books here that I have over here. The first one that we're going to use is Acquisitions Incorporated, and we're not going to use the adventure in here. You could steal little bits of it if you want, but I think for the most part, we want your adventuring party to be working for Acquisitions Incorporated. We want your adventuring party to be employed or starting a new franchise of Ac Inc. And in this book, there is a magic item. Over here on D&D Beyond, in the book of Acquisitions Incorporated, there is a magic item called the Orrery of the Wanderer. This is really fun. So it's 6 different magic items right here. We have the chronolometer, the dimensional loop, the far gear, the rotor of return, the timepiece of travel, and the wheel of stars. When you take all of these and combine them into one, you get the Orrery of the Wanderer, which has some really awesome magical effects. And not only do you get all of the magic benefits that the individual pieces have, but you get extra benefits for them being all together. Most notably, you get a +1 AC bonus, and then what I'm interested in is the Master of Travel. When you have all 6 of them, you can cast Teleportation Circle, Plane Shift, Gate, Demiplane, and Contact Other Plane. And this is what we're going to use for our fetch quest to go through the rest of this. Your party is going to be employed by Acquisitions Incorporated to find all of these different pieces and combine them for some reason. And we don't really know why the head office wants this just yet, but bear with me. So if we do all of this, we're going to start our adventure. I would like to start in Waterdeep. Now, I say Waterdeep when really we have 2 options. One of them is Baldur's Gate, and the other is Waterdeep Dragon Heist. These are both level 1 adventures, and we're only going to use the starting city. So depending on where you want to start, you could play either. I would recommend Waterdeep, as I think it makes more sense. So we're going to have the Acquisitions Incorporated head offices in Waterdeep. We could meet with Omen Drawn. You could get orders from him. There's a reason that you're invested in all of this because of X, Y, and Z. This just makes a little more sense. And we're not going to play through this whole adventure. You're going to play enough, like levels 1 to 2, maybe 3, to clean out some kind of thief-ridden abode in Waterdeep. And if you did the Baldur's Gate version, you're going to do the exact same thing to obtain a home office place for yourself. So taking all of this and making it your own, you now have a home base, which is important for this whole adventure. Your home base is in Waterdeep. You're able to go back and forth, and you're leveling up as an Acquisitions Incorporated employee. Next, we're going to do Storm King's Thunder. This is kind of, I was going to say it's an underrated book, but I don't think it is. Like, I think a lot of people really enjoy this book. When this came out, I was a little confused because the Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide came out, and it had not a lot of information about where to go and little adventures to have. But then this came out, and it had all of that. So you can pick a point somewhere on the Sword Coast, and usually within this book, there's some kind of plot device there that is really unrelated to the main story. So in Waterdeep Dragon Heist, we're going to find our first orrery piece, and we're going to go out into the world looking for the others. And in this one, you're going to follow it to these different places, and you're going to help people along the way. Maybe you get orders from the head office, but it's really going to allow you to explore most of the Sword Coast and see all of these different places and get to know a bunch of NPCs. So really valuable book. Chapter 3, I believe. You're going to go through this, and then through this book, you're going to find orrery parts 2 and 3. So you now have 3 sections of the orrery. We're halfway there. Up next, you're along the Sword Coast. You might as well just go north to Icewind Dale. And in Icewind Dale, you're going to probably fight a Chardalon dragon and save some people. We're going to skip all the 10-town stuff. You're too high level for that. But the prison is there, the Chardalon dragon, that whole plot line. And if you want to, you could even go the full gamut and actually play a Rill. Or fight against a Rill and maybe stop that whole thing as well. When you do that, oh, surprise, another orrery piece. You were destined to help this the whole time. So you find that orrery piece. You now have 4 out of the 6, and this is our next adventure. All right, so after that, I lied. I have Ghosts of Saltmarsh here, and I know that this isn't Forgotten Realms, but the next book we want to go to is Tomb of Annihilation, and that is in Chult. At this level, your party could probably teleport there somehow, but what I think could be fun if your party really enjoyed the Storm King's Thunder, kind of like checking out all these different places, then pick up Ghosts of Saltmarsh, and in here, there are a couple of side quests that are a little higher level towards the back, where your party could get on a boat, either buy a boat, hire a boat. Maybe they have a mobile transportation because of Ak Inc. at this point. And when they take that to Chult to go find the next piece of the Orrery of the Wanderer, they have adventures. And so it's not a quick, let's just hop to Chult really fast, but instead you get to do some of the smaller adventures that are in this. There's also some undersea little adventures, and they scale up depending on what level your party is. So if you want to roll on some random tables for just the sea voyage there, I think this could be a lot of fun. On the other side, you could just teleport your way there. So then we head to Chult. And we look for the next orrery piece, which is in the Tomb of the Nine Gods. So you'll skip a lot of Chult. And I think you need to keep the Death Curse specifically tied to the peninsula or the island of Chult, depending on your edition. Because we didn't actually set up that this was a problem any other time. But if we set it up that these people are having this problem, and the minute our adventurers come to the island of Chult / peninsula, then they feel that curse has affected them. And so you could up the danger a little bit as the dungeon master, knowing that if your party actually dies, there's no way to bring them back. And I think that would be interesting, and also give a higher level party some consequence and to rethink certain situations, especially as they're exploring Tomb of the Nine Gods. You get to the very end of this, you're going to fight a Sararak and the Atropal. Surprise, there was a Orrery of the Wanderer fragment that is powering those devices. You shut that down, you take out the Orrery, you now have 5 of the 6 pieces. Using that piece, I think you could easily teleport back to Waterdeep, Home Office calls you home, and there's a new problem in the Sword Coast. And surprise, it involves the Underdark. So demon lords from the Abyss have risen out of the Underdark. We're gonna skip most of this book and utilize just the final end chapters where you can physically go and battle and find these demon lords. If they need to rise to the surface to make it a problem, if you need to go running down to the Underdark, that's fine. But somehow it's now, what you need to convey to your players is that this is no longer an Underdark problem. This is a Sword Coast problem. And the only person that can help and stop it is this Ack Inc. franchise, and we need you. We'll pay you anything. So Ack Inc. franchise, it's up to you. You go out, and you're not going to fight one. You're going to fight every single demon lord. And I think as high-level players, they would love that. Who are we taking on tonight? Okay, we found out that there's this here, there's this here. You can, maybe Menzoberranzan is your base of operations while in the Underdark. And you are exploring out from there to find all of these demon lords, kill them so they go back to the Abyss. After you've killed all of the demon lords, you return to, say, I don't know, Menzoberranzan, and there are some dark elves there, and they are very thankful that all the demons are gone, but they are really interested in these magical orrery fragments that you seem to have. Perhaps there's another scuffle with some of the priestesses of Lolth, and you find out that they actually have one as well. And as you take the final piece from defeating these people and you assemble this whole thing, you realize that there is a dark connection with the Orrery of the Wanderer. And that this device, this magical item, is somehow tied to Lolth. And that she has been basically playing you and every other creature in the Forgotten Realms, well, I should say the Sword Coast, to assist her chaos and allow the barrier between the demon web pits and the prime material plane to shrink, to weaken, so she can break through and finally rule the Sword Coast as queen of the prime material plane. This is obviously a bad thing for you, so you're going to use the Orrery of the Wanderer to plane shift your party to the demon web pits. And this is a part of this idea where I don't have a template for you to run. There are probably old BX or AD&D modules involving the demon web pits. I think this should be something that you create on your own. Maybe use some information from the Dungeon Master's Guide for 5th edition or earlier editions, but I really like this idea that you need to go and take the fight to Lolth before she takes the fight to the prime material plane. Through some ritual, through some understanding, maybe sacrificing the Orrery of the Wanderer in some way, your party is able to rebind her to the demon web pits and save not only the Sword Coast, but the entire prime material plane. All of these different multiverses that she would have taken over. How do we actually go about and doing this? I don't know. This is just a thought, but I love the idea of combining all of these adventures into one giant awesome adventure. 1 to 20, and you're ending your adventure with a 20th level fight against the goddess of spiders, Lolth herself. It would be amazing. In Mythic Odysseys of Theros, there's a really good spider monster that you could potentially take that and upscale it. And not only that, but give lots of minions to make it like the most epic fight ever. And then put a mechanic of some kind in it that you need the Ori of the Wanderer to really like rebind Lolth to that area, to the Demon Web Pits. What do you guys think? This was one of those things where I was just thinking and I was connecting all the dots and I really wanted to make a video about it. So let me know in the comments below, would you play that adventure? Would you run that adventure? Do we collectively need to come up with like specific levels and locations that you're going to? So by the end of this adventure, everyone in the game can say they've really truly experienced the Sword Coast. Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think. Share this with your friend. Share this with your DM, and maybe he'll run it for you. Again, links to Rod of Seven Parts, Bob the World Builder, and you can catch us on the Saturday Morning D&D show where Lucian talks about his Dungeon of the Mad Mage game. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I will see you all in the next video.